In the quiet riverside city of Savannah, mornings unfolded slowly, like a well-loved book. The air carried a faint sweetness from blooming jasmine, and the cobblestone streets still held the cool memory of night. Before shop owners lifted their shutters and tourists wandered toward the riverwalk, Clara Whitmore was already awake. Her alarm rang at subah ke 5 baje every single day. Not because she loved early mornings. Because she loved routine. Clara believed something most people overlooked: success wasn't built in dramatic moments. It was built in repetition. Her grandmother used to say, "What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while." That sentence had rooted itself into Clara's bones. By subah ke 5:30 baje, she stood in front of Magnolia Cafe, keys jingling softly in her hand. The cafe was small but warm, tucked between a bookstore and a florist on Broughton Street. Its windows were framed in white paint slightly chipped from age, and its hanging sign creaked gently when the wind blew. She unlocked the door, stepped inside, and inhaled deeply. The smell of roasted coffee beans was her vision of peace. She turned on the lights, tied her apron carefully, and moved with practiced rhythm. Grinder on, espresso machine warmed, pastry display arranged, tables wiped, sugar jars refilled, and then, as she did every single morning, she opened her wallet. From the tips she had earned the previous day, she pulled out a crisp $5 bill. She folded it neatly and placed it into a small glass jar behind the counter labeled simply, "For someone who needs it." It wasn't for publicity. There were no social media posts. No announcements. Most customers didn't even know it existed. But Clara knew. It was her quiet contract with herself. No matter how tired she was. No matter how short her own budget felt. No matter how unfair life sometimes seemed. $5. Every day. The cafe door chimed at subah ke 6:10 sharp, her first regular customer. "Morning, Clara," called Tom, a delivery driver who always ordered a cinnamon roll and large coffee. "Good morning." "The usual," she asked, already reaching for the cup. Routine created comfort. Comfort built trust. By subah ke 7 baje, the cafe hummed with life. Students with laptops, office workers checking emails, a mother calming a fussy toddler. Clara moved between tables like someone dancing to music only she could hear. Smile, pour, wipe, thank, repeat. Then, just as the morning rush began to settle, the bell above the door rang again. This time, the entrance felt different. An elderly man stepped inside slowly, closing the door behind him with deliberate care. He wore a charcoal overcoat that had clearly seen many winters. His posture was upright despite his age. His silver hair was neatly combed back, and his eyes, sharp and observant, scanned the room before resting on Clara. There was something composed about him. Measured. "Good morning," Clara said warmly, offering her usual smile. He approached the counter without haste. "Good morning," he replied. His voice carried quiet authority, though softened by age. "A small black coffee, please." "Of course." As she poured, she noticed his hands, steady, refined, not the hands of someone careless with detail. But when she said, "That'll be $3 or 75 cents, something shifted. He reached into his coat pocket. Then his other pocket. A pause. His brows furrowed ever so slightly. "I seem to have forgotten my wallet," he said after a moment. There was no dramatics in his tone. No embarrassment exaggerated. Just fact. "I apologize. I can return shortly." Clara didn't hesitate. Not even for a second. "It's okay," she said gently. "This one's already covered." His eyes lifted to meet hers. "Covered." She nodded and tapped the small jar behind the counter. "I keep a little fund for mornings like this." He studied her face carefully, as though searching for sarcasm or pity. There was neither. "You don't know me," he said. She shrugged lightly. "I don't need to." The corners of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. "And what if I never come back to repay you? Then I hope you pass it forward someday." There it was again, her habit speaking before doubt ever could. He accepted the coffee and walked to a table by the window. But he didn't drink it immediately. He watched. For over an hour, he remained seated quietly, hands wrapped around the cup. Clara noticed him only in passing. She didn't hover or try to impress him. She simply continued her rhythm. An exhausted college student counted coins at the register, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Clara quietly slid the jar forward. "Don't worry, it's handled." A construction worker realized he'd left his card in his truck but had only 10 minutes before his shift resumed. She waved him off gently. "Next time." At one point, a little boy tugged on his mother's coat, staring at a chocolate muffin behind the glass. The mother sighed. "Maybe next week, sweetheart." Clara wrapped the muffin in paper and bent down to the boy's level. "This one's on the house today." The elderly man's gaze sharpened. She wasn't performing kindness, she was practicing it, and that made all the difference. Habits reveal truth because they remove performance. After finishing his coffee, he approached the counter again. "What's your name?" he asked. "Clara." "Clara," he repeated thoughtfully. "Do you do this every day?" "Yes." "Why?" She paused for the first time. Not because she didn't know the answer, but because it was so simple. "Because life is hard for people sometimes," she said quietly. "And $5 doesn't change my life. But it might change someone's morning." He looked at her as if she had just spoken a language he hadn't heard in years. "Most people wait until they're wealthy to be generous," he said. She smiled faintly. "I don't think generosity starts with money." There was silence between them, deep, reflective. Outside, the sun had risen fully now, casting golden light across the cafe floor. He reached into his coat pocket again, not for a wallet, but for something else. A small leather notebook. He wrote something down quickly. Then he closed it. "Thank you for the coffee," he said. "You're welcome. And thank you for the lesson." She tilted her head slightly. "Lesson?" He only smiled. As he walked out, Clara returned to wiping the counter, unaware that she had just impressed a man who had built billion-dollar companies and negotiated international deals. Unaware that he had spent the past year searching for proof that integrity still existed in ordinary places. Unaware that her $5 habit, repeated quietly, faithfully, consistently, had just passed a test she didn't know she was taking. The bell chimed as the door closed behind him. Clara glanced at the jar behind the counter. $4 and some change remained. She opened her wallet again. Without hesitation, she added another $1. Because habits aren't built in comfort. They're built in commitment. And somewhere down the street, the elderly man, known to the financial world as William Harrington, stepped into a waiting car, his mind made up. He hadn't just found kindness. He had found consistency. And that, he knew, was far more powerful. 3 days later, Magnolia Cafe in Savannah felt different before Clara even unlocked the door. She couldn't explain it. Maybe it was the way the air felt heavier, like something waiting to happen. Or maybe it was simply another morning, and her imagination was playing tricks on her. Habits done, T pause for intuition. So she followed her routine. Lights on, machines warm, pastries arranged, tables aligned perfectly. And then, like always, she opened her wallet. $5, folded neatly, placed into the small jar labeled, "For someone who needs it." She whispered softly, "Kindness first." By subah ke 8 baje, the cafe buzzed with conversation. Cups clinked, laptops opened. The smell of espresso filled the air. Then the door opened, but this time, it wasn't a soft chime followed by casual footsteps. It was followed by silence. Outside, 3 black SUVs lined the curb. Inside, 2 sharply dressed men stepped in first, scanning the cafe with alert, professional eyes. Behind them walked the elderly man Clara had served days earlier. Except today, he didn't look like someone who had misplaced a wallet. He looked powerful, composed, intentional. The room shifted. Whispers began. "Isn't that? It can't be." Clara stepped out from behind the counter, wiping her hands on her apron. "Good morning," she said politely, though her heartbeat had begun to race. The elderly man smiled. "Good morning, Clara." Her name sounded different when he said it this time, deliberate. The cafe had gone nearly silent. One of the suited men placed a leather portfolio gently on a nearby table. Another remained by the door. Clara swallowed. "Would you like your usual?" A faint chuckle escaped him. "Yes, black coffee. And this time, I promise I have my wallet." A few customers laughed nervously. She poured the coffee with steady hands, or at least, she tried to appear steady. When she handed him the cup, he didn't immediately take it. Instead, he looked around the cafe. "I'd like everyone to hear this," he said calmly. Every conversation stopped. "My name," he continued, "is William Harrington." Gasps filled the room. Clara blinked. The name hit her like a distant thunderclap. She had seen it on magazine covers, financial news segments, articles about billion-dollar mergers and global investments. William Harrington was known across the country as a visionary investor and one of America's most private billionaires. And he was standing in her cafe, holding her coffee. "I owe you $3 or 75 cents, he said lightly. Clara shook her head instinctively. "That's not necessary." "Oh, it is," he replied. "But not for the reason you think." He nodded to the woman beside him. She opened the leather portfolio and handed Clara a thick envelope embossed with gold lettering. Harrington Global Holdings. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside was a formal document. An offer letter. Her eyes scanned the bold headline. Executive Director, Harrington Kindness Initiative. She looked up, confused. I don't understand. William Harrington spoke calmly, but every word carried weight. For the past year, I've been searching for someone. He paced slowly across the cafe floor. Not someone with an MBA from an Ivy League school. Not someone with impressive connections. He paused. I built companies my entire life. I know talent when I see it. But talent without character is dangerous. He looked directly at her. So I began visiting cities quietly. Watching, observing, testing something. Testing, Clara whispered. Yes. He held up his coffee cup slightly. I forgot my wallet in over 40 cafes across the country. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some refused service. Some rolled their eyes. Some asked for identification. A few were polite but indifferent. He stepped closer. You didn't hesitate. Clara's throat tightened. You didn't ask who I was. You didn't calculate the risk. You didn't perform generosity for attention. His voice softened. You simply acted. Because it was already your habit. The word echoed in the room. Habit. He continued. I watched you for over an hour that morning. You helped people without keeping score. You gave without announcing it. He gestured toward the jar behind the counter. You even replenished it after using it. Clara's eyes widened. He had noticed that. Success, he said firmly, is built on systems. And systems are built on habits. He paused before delivering the sentence that would change her life. I am launching a national foundation, the Harrington Kindness Initiative, to fund small acts of generosity in local communities across America. He nodded toward the envelope. I need someone to lead it. Someone who understands that true change begins in ordinary moments. Clara shook her head slightly, overwhelmed. I'm just a waitress. No, he corrected gently. You're a leader who hasn't been given the platform yet. The suited executives remained silent, but their expressions showed respect, not doubt. William continued. This foundation will invest millions into neighborhoods, cafes, schools, community centers. We will create a network of everyday generosity. He smiled faintly. But money cannot run it alone. It requires someone whose instincts are already aligned with the mission. Tears formed in Clara's eyes. The salary listed on the document was more than she had ever imagined earning. Benefits, resources, autonomy. But why me? She whispered again. He answered without hesitation. Because when no one important was watching, you still chose kindness. The cafe erupted into applause. Tom the delivery driver stood up first. She deserves it. The college student wiped her eyes. The mother whose son had received the free muffin clapped the loudest. Clara looked around at the familiar faces. This cafe wasn't just her workplace. It was her rhythm, her comfort, her daily ritual. William seemed to sense her hesitation. You don't have to answer today, he said. But understand this, your $5 habit has already impacted more people than you realize. He reached into his coat pocket and this time pulled out a check. He placed it beside the jar. It had many zeros. For the cafe, he said. To ensure the jar never runs empty. Clara stared at it in disbelief. But there's one condition. She looked up. You must promise me something. What? Never stop putting your own $5 in. Silence. Because now she understood. It was never about the amount. It was about the discipline. The identity. The repeated choice. She slowly nodded. I promise. William Harrington extended his hand. And in that handshake, a waitress from Savannah stepped into a future she had never planned, all because she mastered something small enough to fit inside a tip jar.